Welcome to Get Your Bell Rung, a pro wrestling podcast. I am KG, and with me is the rest enthusiast Mark. Man, what's going on?
Not much, man. Just trying to get through the day.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It seems like here for the past few months, every time I open up with news, unfortunately, it's something it's bad news. Jerry Lawler apparently had a stroke. He is in the hospital. The good news on that, though, is from what I read, at least, he is conscious and he is communicating. So, a little bit of positivity, I guess, to go along with that, the news of him having the stroke.
Well, I don't think that's his first one. I think it's like his second or third, actually.
Yeah, I know that. Obviously, I think everyone knows he had that heart attack a few years ago, actually on air.
Yeah, no
But
kidding.
yeah, it's one of those things, man, that I think we often forget that these larger than life characters that we watch on TV. If you're pro wrestling fans, obviously we're getting older, and we tend to forget that they get older too, because again, they're these big characters. Then, and you just, I think for some reason, a lot of times we don't think about the fact that they're human beings and they're getting older as well. And it's one of those things that unfortunately, the era of professional wrestling that we really grew up watching, these men and women are now at the age that these type of things start to happen.
Who you kidding, dude? I had my first stroke at 45, 44.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
You
You
know,
know,
so you know,
but the positive thing about you is you're still just as ugly as you did even before. So it didn't really affect anything like
no,
that.
no, no, no. Yeah, yeah. No, I didn't. I'm a little bit slower now, but other than that, I'm pretty good.
Of course, tonight is our night where we do our review of AEW
What?
Dynamite. I have to be honest with you. My focus on professional wrestling last night really wasn't where. Well, that's okay. I'm just doing a podcast here.
Sorry. Yes, they can. Sorry.
As I was saying, my focus on professional wrestling really wasn't where it maybe should have been, with having a podcast because of yesterday's events. Of course, we're talking about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And let me say, first off, I know this isn't a political podcast. That doesn't matter to me. My heart and condolences goes out to his wife, children, and all those who loved him. That is affected by this tragedy. Of course, many people in this country is affected by this tragedy, but those who are really connected to Charlie Kirk, again, his family, his wife, kids, friends. I can only imagine what they're going through right now.
Yeah. Whether you liked him or not, he stood up for what he believed in. He was quoted as saying, sometimes, gun deaths are acceptable to keep our Second Amendment right. Well, he lived by the sword and died by the sword. So,
Yeah,
uh,
and we're going to go off of politics after this, but let me say this: it's one of those things that this wasn't just an assassination on Charlie Kirk. It was also an attack on our constitutional rights, because Charlie Kirk was invoking his constitutional right of free speech. And when you start to be okay with or celebrate assassination of people who are doing things within their constitutional rights, you're also celebrating our constitutional rights being under attack. Because if you think that people will stop by just going after political figures like Charlie Kirk, and they won't come after you and your constitutional rights, then you are dead wrong. It doesn't matter if you agree with someone or you don't agree with someone, you have to be okay with um, supporting their rights within the Constitution to be doing the things that they're doing.
You
So,
know, we as a society need to get back to understanding that we can agree to disagree and still be friends.
absolutely,
You know, I
absolutely,
had a conversation about gun control not even an hour and a half ago with somebody that I used to work with, and it was polite, it was civil, there was no bad words, there was no anger, there was, they brought up their side, I brought up my side, and you know, and I said at the end of it, it was nice that we had this conversation where there was no hateful words, there was no nasty messages or anything. It was a civil discussion, and I appreciate that. And the girl reiterated that with me. You
right.
know, I said, I think you're a good person. I'd like to think that you think I'm a good person. Um, you know, but we just don't agree on this. And to me, and I don't want to get political either, but you start taking away guns away from law-abiding citizens. Well, criminals don't care about the laws. You
Right.
know.
And look, we're all weak when it comes to things we disagree about. For instance, there's a lot of times that, you know, I want to shake the shit out of you because of how some of the ways you view professional wrestling.
Yeah, I
And
understand
that
that.
being said, let's get back on track with
All
professional
right, fair
wrestling.
enough. Fair enough. All right, so AEW. Let's see what I got here. Let's see. Adam Page versus Josh Alexander. The crowd was pretty rowdy during this match, I thought. Um, there was a bad drop, though, on the railing onto the floor for Josh Allen. I kind of felt bad for him because that looked like a bad spot,
Yeah,
to
it
be
did.
honest.
Yeah, it
Uh,
did.
Page actually ended up getting a win. Kyle Fletcher comes out and challenges Page at All Out, is it?
Yep.
Yep. Which later in the show, it's announced that it'll happen. I like Fletcher. I like the role he's in. I did take humor in the fact that um, Page pointed out that he doesn't know how to put on socks.
No, it's funny though. It was the crowd actually that initially started chanting, um, put on your socks. And, Paige, was like, hey, you know what? I need to add this to my promo so the fans can know that I'm listening to them. Yeah, look, the match was a fine match.
Yeah, it was.
Josh Alexander, he is pretty damn good in the ring. Uh, I wasn't expecting him to win the match, nor should he have. I think that's the right call, having Adam Page win that match. And having a program now between him
And
and
Fletcher.
and Fletcher. I look, it makes me it, it makes me a little bit more excited about All Out because I know that that's going to be a damn good match.
Yeah, well. I didn't realize Fletcher was that young.
Yep,
I mean, he's got what 5, 7 years experience already.
yep.
You know, um, what happened to Mark Davis? He joined Don Callis, and now he's gone.
We can say that about a lot of the people at AEW. What happened to
Brian Cage.
right?
What happened to who was MJF's bodyguard for the longest time? He showed up a few weeks ago. Now he's gone.
So yes, Warlow you're speaking of, and I'm
Yep,
glad you
yep.
brought that up. So apparently, Warlow returned at Forbidden Door. At Forbidden Door, I think I could be mistaken, but I think he tore a pectoral muscle there.
Oh Jesus Christ!
So he is now out again with injury. This guy can not
Catch a break.
catch a break whatsoever. Let me give the exact injury of his. I think it is so. Uh, yeah, toward pectoral muscle, which occurred almost immediately after his return from a year-long absence due to another injury. So either this guy just has bad luck or he is made of paper.
Well, that needs a pussy because um, Cody Rhodes wrestles with torn back.
Yeah, I would call him a put. I mean, look,
Not to his
props,
face, I wouldn't.
Look, props to Cody Rhodes for enduring what he wanted to endure in order for him to have that match against Randy Orton. But this is the thing.
Seth Rollins, you mean?
I mean, Seth Rollins. But this is the thing. You have to ask yourself, how smart was that? Because if you show up in the ring and you're injured, not only can you further injure yourself, putting you out even longer, but you can also hurt your opponent as well due to your injury. So,
Right, right. Yeah, and he probably did injure himself further due to the match.
yeah. Now, this is the thing. I know that he will be out of the ring as far as action wise, but if you really look at Warlow's career in AEW, he didn't wrestle all that much. He was more there for that bodyguard type thing. He was more of a presence than anything else. So,
Background scenery.
right, my question is, will he be taken off of TV? Which I'm leaning he probably will be since we haven't seen him, or will they continuously use him just for, as you said, that background scenery while he heals up?
I don't know. I think they're gonna bring him back as a surprise or some shit again.
But you can only be surprised by his comeback so many times. I mean, damn,
Right,
dude.
right, right. So, all right. So next we go to Mark Briscoe, basically challenging MJF to a match with some stipulations, which we don't know yet. I think it's on Collision. Actually, I don't know why they put it on Collision, not versus the pay per view, but maybe they need
Right?
ratings for Collision. Who knows? Well,
Yeah,
I'm sure they do actually, but anyways, then we go to an MGF rant on Briscoe, and MGF was just freaking lit.
he was. But I tell you, that was a 100% Ric Flair promo he did. If you go watch the end of the promo, he did exactly what Flair does. Exactly. And I've said for a long time that his promos often reminds me of a younger Ric Flair back in the day when he's with Georgia Championship Wrestling, especially back in the day when he was in the Four Horsemen.
Well, I'm sure Ric Flair was probably a big influence on MGF,
I'm
although
sure.
Rick was pretty much on the end of his career by the time MGF was, coherent enough to watch wrestling. I'm sure.
Yeah, but there's so many places where you could go watch,
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And MGF's a student of the industry.
exactly. Right. And I appreciate that because one of my complaints about a lot of professional wrestlers, including especially fans, is they don't really know the history of professional wrestling. They kind of only know, maybe 10, 15 years ago during the Attitude Era and stuff like that. A lot of them don't go way back prior to those days of your Mid South and your Georgia Championship Wrestling. And
Right, but that's like asking us to go back to the 1940s and 1950s.
but I have.
Uh, I've checked into it periodically, but nothing, in depth.
I'm just someone that because I love professional wrestling so much, I like knowing the history of professional wrestling, and so yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
don't get
but
me wrong. I got
me.
I went back and I mean I got into wrestling probably I don't know late 70s, early 80s probably.
Right,
Really into it probably about early 80s.
yeah,
Um, but I went back and I reviewed, early 70s into mid 70s and even into late 70s before I was tuned into it,
right,
you know,
right,
or divulging into other areas that I wasn't able to receive at the time.
yeah.
So, anyways, let's see. Then we go to a Bucks interview. There's a match later on the night for $500,000, a 10-man tag match. Um, and then they meet up with Cutler, their former camera guy or whatnot. He pretty much told them off and walked away. I got a good kick out of that. The Bucks.
Yeah,
The Bucks have really gone out of their way to kick themselves when they're down.
right,
And at this point, it's hard not to like them. They
right.
just they're dogging themselves so much that it's hard not to like them. And I haven't liked the Bucks in 10 years.
But
And
this is my question with this though. What is the end game for this storyline? Because obviously the reason why they're down is because they lost a match where they are no longer the
EVPs.
EVPs, right? So at some point the storyline has to get to where they're able to be back in that spot again. So how are they going to get there?
I
It's
don't
what
know. I,
because there's no real. Yeah, I get the storyline that they're down, right? But at the same time,
when does it resolve?
right? And who is it? How is it going to resolve?
Well, I think it's going to resolve with them turning face and not abusing their power. You know.
But this is the
So,
thing: how do they regain that power back? Is the
right, right,
question.
right. You know. Speaking of which, where's Swerve? I haven't seen him in a couple weeks.
He was there. Was he there? Swerve's out injured too.
Oh, is he? Oh,
Yeah,
okay. All right. All right. So then Mox joins them, offers their split of the
right.
winnings if they win. They just want to get out there and hurt people, I guess. Next, we go to Monet and Emi Sakura versus Alex.
Terrible. This
Yeah,
was just terrible.
Alex Windsor and Riho.
Right.
And was
I,
was there a double tap out on this, or just a single tap out? I think
I,
Emmy just tapped.
right, right. But again, I didn't care about this. There's nothing that is intriguing about this. Anything that is going on with with the storyline.
Oh, I didn't understand it. I mean, why have
Right,
Sakura and Monet team up?
right.
And she had a belt. Why didn't Monet try to pin her?
You know, so I don't know. Like I said, this was one of those matches I just kind of really zoned out of and rolled my eyes because it was terrible.
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason for it. But
Right,
I mean, that happens in almost every wrestling show where there's no rhyme or reason of a match. So other than giving somebody some exposure.
right.
All right, so next we go to an interview with Gates of Agony and Ricochet. Ricochet challenges Benjamin Shelton. He says, "You leave your men back behind. I'll leave my men back behind. We'll face off 1-on-1."
So this right away, we all knew that Gates of Agony would make an appearance. Right away, I knew that it would cost Shelton Benjamin the match. So this left me thinking this. So now are we saying that the Hurt Syndicate is that fucking stupid that they believed and took the word of this guy that his crew was just going to stay behind?
Well, if it wasn't Gates of Agony, it would have been the Hurt Syndicate. You knew one of them was going to come out. So, it's
Right.
there's no honor among thieves.
Right. Yeah, but let's not forget the Gates of Agony and our baby faces.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that, but okay.
Yes, they're now baby faces. Um, Now look, the match itself, I enjoyed the match. I was a little shocked that what's his face got the win.
Yeah, Ricochet.
Ricochet got the win. That kind of threw me off a little bit. You don't see Sean Benjamin or anyone from the Hurt Lock or the Hurt Syndicate losing very often, getting pinned. So this was real surprising, but they are the baby faces now. So it would make sense why Ricochet actually got the win. Now, what's interesting though is you notice it was Shelton Benjamin. Oh, goddamn, my mind. His partner,
Bobby Lashley.
Bobby Lashley, has yet to take a pin since he's been with AEW.
True, true. Um, and was it me or did God, now I got a brain fart.
MVP?
Yeah, MVP, did he body slam or not body slam, backdrop somebody on the walkway
I'm pretty sure he did. I know he tried to use his cane on him.
in a suit?
Right, right. No, I wasn't aware that MVP was still able to be involved to take bumps, and apparently he is because he's going to be part of that
Yep,
triple tag team match.
yep, yep. I think he wrestles very sporadically, extremely sporadically. I mean, I don't think I've seen him in the ring probably what 2-3 years,
Yeah.
maybe
Now,
three.
I think the reason why he's going to be involved in this match is I'm predicting that Ricochet and Gates of Agony is going to come out on top, and MVP is going to be the one to take that pin.
Probably could be. All right, so next we go to a recap of FTR's career, which leads into a recap of Edge and Christian's career, which is FTR's got a great career, but Christian Edge got beat. Uh, 56 titles between the two of them.
Yep.
Holy shit. Um, Dax has an altercation with a fan, or it looks like an altercation, and then he goes and drops a production crew member.
Right. Right. Well, look, the so-called altercation he had with this fan, you know damn well that this fan was a plant.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, they're doing a good job of making FTR look like they're really unhinged.
yep, pretty much. Pretty much. All right, so next we go to a Hook vignette. He's thankful that the ops got his back, but whatever, whatever. Um, it sounds like Hook is going to hook up with a group, possibly.
That was the takeaway.
Pardon the pun.
Right. I just for whatever reason cannot get invested in anything Hook's doing.
I like Hook, but yeah, I can see where you're coming from. You know, um, again, he's one of them guys that he's probably phenomenal in the ring, but at 185 pounds or whatever he is, he just isn't viable. Although when he throws on a submission, I buy
Right.
it. You know,
Well,
and
it's not even about, go ahead.
I buy that his dad probably taught him submission holds.
Right. Look, it's not even that it's because of he's a small guy. I don't know what the disconnect is because look, when he was with Samoa Joe, some of the stuff they're doing backstage, in their promos, it was good. It was even somewhat funny. It really was, right? But even then, it's just something about it that I was just like, I just don't care.
Hook's got that dry sense of humor, so when he comes across and drops one, you don't expect it.
Right.
You know, and it's usually pretty good because of his dry sense of humor.
Yeah.
It's just out of character for him. All right,
Right.
so next we go to Fletcher and Don, confirming the match is set for the next pay per view. Um, I'm kind of looking forward to this match. I think it's gonna be a good
Yep.
match. And again, I don't know what it is about Adam Page, but he reminds me of Magnum TA. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know either because he reminds me more of Brian damn
Not
it.
Pillman.
Yeah, he reminds me of Pillman, man. Just his
Really?
appearance and his character because of how unhinged he can become. Yeah, reminds me of Pillman.
Really? I don't see it, but okay, you don't see the TA, so we can agree to disagree. But I think it's the hair that in both cases because they both
Yeah,
have the curly hair.
right.
You know. All right, so next we go to Tony Storm versus Sky Blue, and it was a street fight. I actually kind of enjoyed this one, although I thought if you're gonna use mouse traps, you might as well go out and be a man and use rat traps.
Look,
But I've snapped my foot on a mouse trap and they hurt like hell.
yeah, look, this was hard for me to get into because number one, why? What was the reason for this? Number two, it felt like it was forced just because it almost feels like, okay, they had this match only because they were in Philly, the home of ECW, right? At this arena. Um, so it was hard for me to like invest my attention because it felt so forced. It almost feels like AW feels like they have to have these type of matches when they're in Philadelphia.
Right. Well, the same with WWE.
Right, but we're not talking about WWE right now. We're talking
Right,
about
right,
AEW.
right. I did like the stapler to the coochie, the stapler to the butt. I found humor in that, even if it wasn't loaded, but nonetheless, it was still comical.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I thought Sky Blue got way, way too much offense um against Tony Storm. Because Sky Blue, definitely not a top talent. This match should have only lasted a couple of minutes.
You know what? Again, I liked it. I like Sky Blue. I don't know if I necessarily like the character she's portraying, but I like Sky Blue. I guess I like her better than, for lack of term, Hugger Bailey. As she was before. Um, but I think she's gone a little too far with it. But
Yeah,
whatever. I still enjoy her. Um, Tony Storm doing her best Sandman impersonation. Tony
sure.
Storm ended up getting the pin, and then Julia Hart and Tekla came out and attacked her. Chris Statlander came out to help. She got a beat down. Jamie Hayter came out, and Jamie Hayter actually looked pretty good, I thought, but inadvertently punched or clothesline Chris Statlander, and then she took a beat down. And then Tekla polished off Tony Storm.
So I can tell you a match that I'm not looking forward to at all out is Tony Storm and Tekla. Don't care at all whatsoever.
I think this is going to be a sleeper match that's going to surprise you.
I'm expecting it to be my intermission match.
Fair enough. Um, Next, we were an interview with Willow. She wants Mira Shavir, which I think that's plain suicidal, but whatever. Because I think
This is going to be another intermission match. This was a yawner. Didn't care. There's nothing about Willow that I'm invested in. I cannot accept her as this badass. So,
I don't know. She's a New York girl.
yeah. So, real quick, this name Kev Chart says he's back. So, this is my buddy, lives out in Oklahoma. And yesterday, when I interviewed with Brian Idol, I got this weird message from him, but I didn't realize it was him saying, "Oh, you changed your name. Why didn't you tell me?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Who the fuck is this?" So I ignored it, and then he gave me a call today. He's like, "Yeah, did you get my message? What the fuck you talking?" Did I? As soon as I was saying, "What the fuck you talking about?" It dawned on me. I'm like, "Oh, you son of a bitch!" So appreciate you joining in and supporting the podcast, Kevin. Um, I think you're subscribed. If not, why the fuck not, motherfucker?
Well, if he was a subscriber, he would have known we changed our name. So how much support is he giving us? When we told people like a month in advance every week that we were, twice a
Well,
week that we were
he's
changing our name.
he's not on social media,
Oh, okay. All right.
and
All right.
and he's not on YouTube that much.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not trying to dog our
So
subscribers or our fans.
I'll give him a little bit of grace.
All right. Fair enough. All right. So Holly Cameron comes in and she's trying to mend the rift between Statlander and Willow. And Willow pretty much said, "Well, I know who Chris's friends are, and just watch your back."
I normally like um
Harley.
Harley. This was terrible. Terrible. I literally walked away from the TV at that moment to go smoke a cigarette because it was so bad.
Uh, I'm kind of one of them guys. Regardless of how bad AEW was, I still cling to it, and that's the same with Harley.
I didn't say, well, you cling it because you see tits and ass. I
Possibly.
watch it for the fucking value of the talent, and this was just low budget shit that they did.
Yeah, but you gotta admit, Harley's got some nice boobs.
Again, I watch it for the purity of the sport. I don't give a shit about tits and ass. I don't.
Okay.
And this was just low budget.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Next, we go to the 10-man tag, which I kind of enjoyed this match, but not as much as I wanted to.
Yeah, the match was fine. Did it meet my expectations? It didn't. Am I going to say that it was terrible? I won't. It was just fine.
On a side note, Daniel Bryan or Brian Daniel said Smojo's got the best jabs in the business.
Yeah, well, fuck Brian Danielson or Daniel Bryan. I don't give a fuck what he says. He married the fucking Bella, for the love of God. That right there makes me question his judgment in life.
I just had to throw that in there. I'm not the one that said it.
So, Bob Cook,
Don't
you
show
still have the best fucking punch in the business.
But Bob's retired, so it's not the best in the business because he's retired.
But there's nobody that has met that par yet.
Okay. All right.
Who was it last night that actually was throwing punches? God damn, I can't remember now that you say it. And I was like, what the?
Jamie Hayter.
Yes. What in the horrible fuck was that?
Yep. Punching her own hand.
Oh my God, dude. It was so bad.
I don't know
And
about so bad,
Evan
but it was
says, of
bad.
course, I have subscribed. No, to me, it was bad. It was terrible. Terrible.
Again, it was probably just bad camera work. So, but yeah, they were bad. And I wasn't even going to mention it, and I didn't even write it in my notes, but once you brought it up, you're like, God, who had them bad punches last
Yeah.
night? Right away, I knew who it was.
Yes.
The Bucks end up getting.
Velma from Scooby Doo was throwing terrible punches. Because that's what she reminds me of.
Yeah, she does. She's definitely got that 70s wardrobe. And, as much as nostalgia comes back, 70s style should stay in the closet. It really should. Believe me, I've got pictures of what I wore in the 70s.
Not to be what's the
But you're
word
going to
looking
be.
well, yes, I am. Not to be disrespectful or disgusting, but it makes me wonder if she's wearing the 70s style the way she does, include her hair. If she, let's just say, if she's part of a Bush administration, if you know what I mean.
I bet she is. I bet she is. All right, so after the match, Brodito takes the Bucks out. The Death Riders attack the Ops. Darby Allin comes out. He gets a beat down, and all of a sudden somebody shows up, and it's Daniel Garcia. And I believe you called this.
Yep, called it a few weeks ago, and I've been saying ever since. Daniel Garcia is going to turn heel. He's going to join the Death Riders, and the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to boot out your boy, Yuta.
Oh, my boy, shit. I don't care for Yuta.
Well, I didn't mean your boy. I'm just saying
Oh,
in
okay.
general, your boy
All
Yuta.
right. Fair enough.
Yep, pretty sure that was going to happen.
I don't know. He's kind of the recruiter.
Yuta is the guy that takes the pins. Dan Garcia is going to be the new guy that's taking the pins.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, you've been right about this, so I'm not going to argue with you. So that was pretty much ended with the crowd turning on Daniel Garcia and saying, "You suck, you sold out," whatever they said.
Right.
Philadelphia is so predictable because you get them to. They're
Right.
like trained monkeys. You can get them to do or say anything.
Y'all can talk to
shots.
me about the way I talk, and yeah, that's how you get fans because I talk shit. You literally just call Philadelphia a bunch of monkeys.
Well, if the shoe fits, wear it. And really, how many subscribers do we have from Philly? One, maybe.
I don't know. Man. Who knows? I do know this much, though.
We'll hear about it.
I do know this much. I would give Dynamite a C plus. Wouldn't go any higher than that.
That's probably where I'd land on it too. I
Right.
actually liked the show for the most part, but there were some things I just scratched my head on.
Yeah. But the other thing that I know is that ends tonight's review of Wednesday Dynamite. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central, Lynn Anoa'i. Gotta know that I am butchering that last name. She is the widow of the legendary wrestler Alpha. She is the aunt of Roman Reigns. She will be on the podcast. We're going to be talking about Alpha and so many other things. So please don't forget to subscribe so you can catch that interview. Other than that, Mark, I don't know why I'm asking, but I'm going to ask, do you have anything?
Just a hungry tummy.
Well, me too. My wife just got home with the dinner. So let's go ahead and get your bell rung. Pro Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. You guys have a great night.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.